The seventh stanza in the Mangala Sutta runs as Arati Virati Papa Majjapanacha Sanyamo Appamadocha Dhammesu Etam Mangala Muttama. According to the verbal meaning, the primary meaning or the direct meaning, Arati means free of arati. Arati is the lack of spiritual energy to do good and to abstain from the bad, to be virtuous and not to be evil, to be wholesome and not to be unwholesome. That is the spiritual energy required, and the lack of that energy is arati. Na arati means no arati. Na arati becomes arati. That is full of spiritual energy to be virtuous, to be wholesome, to be good. Virati means abstain from. That is the spiritual energy to abstain from the evil, from the unwholesome state of mind. Majjapana. Majjapana means intoxicants, alcohol. Sanyamo means discipline, self-discipline in the use of intoxicants. That is knowing the limit of alcohol. That is Appamadocha Dhammesu. The other quality. Appamada. Pramada is delay. Undelayed. Doing things without any delay, without any negligence. Doing Dhamma, good things. Dhamma means here, the verbal means virtue. Adhamma means freedom, free from virtue, but it's bad, unwholesome. Therefore, Appamadocha Dhammesu means being diligently alert in being wholesome and being good. These virtues, as expressed by the verbal meaning of the seventh stanza in Mangala Sutta, are of common sense. The common sense knows the lack of energy to be good is not good. Full of energy to be good, to be virtuous, to be wholesome is a virtue, it's a blessing, it's a mangala. Virati papa, that means abstaining from the evil. It is common sense. Abstaining from the evil is a blessing. Majjapanacha sanyamo, not being addicted to alcohol, knowing the limit of using alcohol. Because alcohol can be a medicine that can be helpful to keep our health. And using alcohol in excess of that limit is very harmful to both the mind and the body. Therefore, being in control, that it means self-discipline with regard to alcohol, is a blessing with which you can improve your health or maintain your health both mentally and physically. Apamadocha dhammesu. Here dhamma, verbal meaning is virtue, and having no delay, that means being diligent, without any negligence, be engaged in being virtuous is a blessing. But when we examine the implied meaning of this stanza, we can infer this stanza is describing the qualities of a mind in the extreme meaning stage called Sotapanna, the first steps in the path towards Nirvana. Therefore, indirectly and impliedly, we can infer that this stanza is referring to the nature of the extreme meaning stage, entering the path to Nirvana directly, the direct path to Nirvana. The mind at this stage is spiritually energetic to maintain a wholesome state without giving into unwholesome states or unwholesome elements hidden in our subconsciousness. These unwholesome elements in our subconscious is eventually to crop up whenever they have the opportunity to crop up. That is their nature, and being vigilant over that is a virtue. And it's also so intoxicant. Here in this stage of string being state, it is the abstinence from mental intoxicants or mental stimulants. Not being addicted to mental intoxicants or alcohol or intoxicants. It is with this addiction one may get attached to sensual pleasures. According to Buddhism, being attached to sensual pleasures, enjoying sensual pleasures is different from being attached to sensual pleasures. Attachment is there to continue, expecting the continuation of sensual pleasures. Both pleasures and pains are transitory. They come and they go. They appear to disappear. They get generated to degenerate and die. Therefore, a wise person is not getting attached to sensual pleasures. There's another attachment with which we are intoxicated, stimulated by the attachment to our own views, opinions, ideas. My idea, my opinion, my view, such an attachment to one's own view. Then there's another attachment. One may get attached to one's own policies. Maybe spiritual policies, maybe political policies, maybe social policies. Getting attached to any system makes oneself a slave to that system, and that becomes an addiction. Then there is an attachment to policies or systems of spiritual discipline, rituals. And that itself can become an intoxicant, making one biased and prejudiced when one is over-attached to even to spiritual systems and disciplines. Then there is attachment to our ambitions. Ambition to be somebody, become somebody. Attachment to the idea, these ideas, it is in the spiritual sense, they become impediments to spiritual development, not in the worldly way. Worldly success needs ambition and attachment to ambition. But no ambition is required in the spiritual development. Therefore, being ambitious to achieve something spiritually. And when we are in the spiritual path, even the attachment to material development, material targets. Ambition is having a target, the target is in the future. That is not a reality, that is only an idea, that is only a dream. And think of that dream as an actuality is an addiction to a mental intoxicant. These attachments to mental intoxicants are referred to as asava in Buddhism. Asava, the word asava means alcohol, intoxicant. It is an stimulant. Most of the Ayurveda medicines good for health turns into asava, turns into alcohol. They are called asava or arista. And sometimes alcohol is used as a preservative in many medicines and even in food as a preservative. And that is within the limit. Sanyamo means free from attachment to these mental intoxicant. One is kama asava that I refer to as attachment to sensual pleasures. Kama means the sensual pleasures. And also attachment to sensual pleasures. Attachment is raga. And sensual pleasure is kama. In Nibbedaka Sutta, it is said by the Buddha, Sankappa rago purisasa kamo. Purisasa kamo means a person's sensual pleasures, once become attached to, turns into raga. Not that sensual pleasure is bad, but that attachment to sensual pleasure is evil and it becomes an asava. It turns into an intoxicant and one may get addicted to sensual pleasures. Then there is bhava asava. Bhava is to become. I want to become rich. I want to become knowledgeable, educated, wise, virtuous, spiritual, and all those are ambitions. I am not virtuous at the present moment and I want to be virtuous in the future, and I have a dream and idea of that virtue, the spiritual development or my advancement in spirituality, And we get attached to an idea which is not a reality at the moment, but only a dream. What is bad is being attached to. Being virtuous at the moment, being spiritual at the moment is not bad. What is bad is being attached to a state which is not real, which is a dream of the future. And that is called bhava asava, the desire to be. Even Hamlet, in the Hamlet drama by Shakespeare, Hamlet said, to be or not to be, that is the question. To be, bhava asava. It is bhava asava, to be. Not to be is vibhava asava, bhava, vibhava. In the first sermon, Buddha said, the cause of our all suffering is tanha, the thirst for what we lack. And the thirst he described in triple manner. One is kama tanha, the thirst for sensual pleasures. Bhava tanha, bhava is to be. We want the sensual pleasures to be in a particular way according to our idea. Sometimes you may like to marry a fat lady or a thin lady, a fair lady or dark lady. That is your taste. Oriental lady or an Occidental lady. A village lady or a sophisticated city lady. They are your taste. You have taste for your ideals for food, ideal states of clothes, ideal vehicles, and I want to have a car like that. That is, I want to be the owner, to be the owner. I want a job like that, to be in that job. Then bhava asava means getting addicted to the dreams of what you want to be. Doing things to be educated is not bad. Doing things to be virtuous is not bad. Doing things to achieve money is not bad. What is bad is being addicted to those ambitions. Then there is another asava called ditta asava. Ditti means opinion, idea, beliefs. One may be addicted to the belief in one's own religion, rituals in one's own religion, ideas in one's own religion. Being religious is not bad, but being addicted to an ideal religion. Really you are not religious, but you want to be religious means you are addicted to an ideal. Being religious is not bad. Then there is avijjasava. Avijja is explained as not knowing what is good and what is bad. Not knowing the Four Noble Truths. Four Noble Truths means not actually know what real suffering is. Not having a full understanding, full knowledge, full experience, a full comprehension of your mental suffering. The cause of suffering, the cessation of suffering, and the way for the cessation of suffering. All those Four Noble Truths are within you, and not having a full comprehension of those Four Noble Truths And being addicted to that ignorance, not going further to open up the mind into the truth, is also an addiction. It was called avijjasava. It is after removing this intoxicant of avijjasava that one can be enlightened, realizing the real Four Noble Truth. These are the qualities that I have been dealing with regard to the extreme meaning stage. Then there is another quality expressed here, appamadota dhammesu. Verbal meaning is being diligent and alert in being virtuous. But here Dhamma can be virtue or even evil or even neutral. The word Dhamma in Buddhism is used as a content of the mind. Mind is called Mano, and the object of the mind is called Dhamma. Like a rupa, an image, a form can become an object of the eye. A form of sound can become the object of the ear. A form of fragrance, a good or bad smell, can become the object of the nose. A form of taste, good or bad taste, can become the object of the tongue. Then there is the form of touch, that the skin can be in contact with, and it becomes the object of the skin, the sensation of the skin. Then there is the sensation of the mind. The sensation of the mind can become aware, be conscious of a good thought, a bad thought, or a neutral thought. Avyakata Dhamma. Kusala Dhamma, a good thought, akusala Dhamma, a bad thought, Avyakata Dhamma, a neutral thought. Then what happens is, appamado dhammesu, one has to be aware. This is called sati sampajanya. Without any delay, when they crop up, one becomes aware of those qualities. This is the state of mind that we are trying to imply from the 7th stanza in the Mangala Sutta, and we feel this stanza is describing the nature of being a stream winner in the path to Nirvana. This stage is described by the Buddha himself in the Ratana Sutta. In one stanza there, it is said, Sahavasa Dastana Sampadaya Tayasu Dhamma Jahita Bhavanti Sakkaya Ditti Vichikichyatanta Sila Bhatang Vapi Adatya Kinchi. Then let us see what we have all been inferring from the 7th stanza are there in this stanza of the Buddha in the Ratana Sutta. Sahavasa Dastana Sampadaya. Here Dastana Sampadaya is, Dastana is seeing. Here Dastana in the Sotapanna state, Dastana is Dastana of the Nirvana. That is the first stage when you become conscious really of what Nirvana is. Because when you get the sensation of Nirvana, your attachment to sensual pleasures are no more there, because the bliss of Nirvana is far superior to all the sensual pleasures that one can enjoy. And with that vision, it's called a vision, seeing it. That means comprehension, understanding. That awareness is the awareness of our wisdom. It's called the insight of wisdom. Through insight of wisdom, one can be aware of the bliss of Nirvana. And when that awareness, when that vision of the bliss becomes established, it's called Sotapanna Phala. But even in the path, one may experience the bliss of Nirvana. What is Nirvana? It is the mind free from raga, dosa, moha. Raga is attachment, dosa is resentment, moha is ignorance. And even before becoming enlightened, one may at times experience a mind not attached to anything, vitaragi chitta. In enlightenment, what happens is vitaraga chitta is established and permanent, and it can never turn into raga called attachment. Then one can experience a mind free from resentment, a peaceful mind, a silent mind, a blissful mind, a mind of blissful, free from attachment, free from resentment, and free from ignorance. Here moha means unawareness. The awareness is there. Now, for example, you may see beauty. You may enjoy the beauty. You can experience the beauty, but without becoming attached to it. You get that non-attachment when the insight of wisdom crops up. It is a natural instinct. The instinct says there's no point in being attached to. When the sunset is very beautiful, just enjoy it. That is called piti sukha. Piti means delight, sukha means the bliss of delight. And one can experience the bliss of delight. Attachment means expecting it to continue. But when you know through your wisdom the impermanence of every item in this life, every incident in this life, you just enjoy, you are there, the delight is there. Heraclitus, the Greek philosopher who lived in the 5th century BC, said, no one can step into the same river twice because there's a flow, a flux. Things are changing. Then you take things up, when there's a delight, you are not attached to it. When there's pleasure, the delight of pleasure, you are not attached to it. When there is the resentment or pain, the suffering of pain, you don't resent it. Like clouds, they pass away. Pleasure may come, they can't last long, they go away. Pain may come, the pain may go away. It is very easy to say but difficult to do. But one may get the spiritual development to be detached from both pleasures and pains. But being aware of both pleasure and pain, awareness is vita moha, free from attachment is vita raga, free from resentment is vita dosa. And that is the state of an enlightened mind. But in this extreme meaning stage, Sotapanna stage, that bliss of Nirvana, like a lightning, may come and vanish. They may appear, they may disappear. You are not over-delighted when that bliss appears. No, you are resentful and worried when the bliss disappears. Sahavasa Dasana Sampadaya, when you see that, when you become aware of that bliss, of being non-attached and non-resentful and non-ignorant or non-unaware, having sati sampajanya. Sati means mindfulness, being mindful without being attached and without being resentful when you enjoy that bliss. Sahavasa Dasana Sampradaya, Tayasu Dhamma Jaita Bhavanti. 3 elements get dropped, Dhamma. One is Sakkaya Ditti, the ego, the self, the idea of a self. In the Sotapanna stage, the idea of self disappears. Sakkaya Ditti disappear. This lack of attachment is the disappearance of the karma for attachment. Sakkaya Ditti Vichikichatanta. Vichikicha is doubt. Until you reach the stage of perfect stream winner called Sotapanna Phala, you may doubt. You can doubt and it is natural. It is the doubt that makes one inquisitive. It is the doubt that has become the basis of all scientific discoveries and investigations. Scientific attitude is an unprejudiced mind. We see something, we are not prejudiced by our previous ideas. Open-mindedness. That open-mindedness can doubt things. Buddha said in the Mangala Sutta to monks, don't believe that I am enlightened. Don't believe that I am a Buddha. Because the Buddha does not advocate blind faith as in other religions. The Buddha path or the Buddhist path is vidassana. Abhidassana means excellent vision, seeing, not believing it. But here we said, once you read the Sotapanna Phala stage, you see what Nirvana is, what you experience, the Vita Ragi, Vita Dosi, Vita Mohi state of mind. And you know the bliss of it, you see it. But before that, now we don't know what real Nirvana is. It is beyond our comprehension and it is inexplicable. It's called atakkavachara. You can't think of it. Nirvana is not an idea. Idea is a concept. Nirvana is not a word. The word is a symbol. The idea is a mental image. The real Nirvana has to be experienced. But there's experiencing without an experiencer. That is what Buddha said, Vedi tabbo vinyuhi. Nirvana is to be Vedi tabbo means one can be conscious of it when one is very sensitive. It is only a sensitive person. Vinyu is not jnanavanta. Jnanavanta means knowledgeable person. Vijnanavanta means a sensitive person. It is through extreme sensitivity one can experience Nirvana, but at that stage there is Nirvana without an experiencer. There is no difference between the self and the Nirvana. Nirvana cannot be experienced as an object of the mind. That is called atakkavachara. You can become Nirvana. That is why in the Visuddhimagga, Reverend Buddha God said, Atti nibbhuti na nibbhuto. There is Nirvana, but in the Nirvana there is no ego or self that has got enlightenment. The idea of self gets lost at this first stage called Sotapanna Phala. Until that stage, is said, be inquisitive and inquire into. In the 7 aspects of enlightenment, the first is sati sampajanya, being aware. Here it calls sati sampajanya, it may be called being aware of through the insight of wisdom. Then dhamma vicche sabbonjanga, inquiring into it. Because Buddhism is based on an inquiring mind, not on blind belief. In Mangala Sutta, Buddha said, don't believe the person who says it is well educated, well matured, well virtued, a lot of virtue. You have to believe things only when you see the reality of it. Therefore, the path of Buddhism, the technique in Buddhism is not blind belief as in other religions, but an inquiring mind. It is through an inquiring mind you can ultimately come into the truth. The reality of Nirvana, as we said, Sahavasa Darsana Sampradaya. Then, Tayasu Dhamma, Sakkaya Ditthi Vicikicca, Silabbatang Vapi. Silabbata means becoming attached to different policies of achieving spirituality. No system is followed blindly by the Buddhists because they follow their own guidance. In the last sutta called Mahaparinibbana Sutta, when the unenlightened monks asked the Buddha, whom are we going to follow and get direction from, get advice from, to be enlightened, Buddha said, Atta Deepa Viharata, be a light unto yourself. That means you have to be your own guide. Atta sarana, you have to be your own refuge. Na anya sarana, don't take refuge in anybody else. Even in the deeper sutta before the passing away, Buddha said the same thing. Atta Deepa Virata, Atta Sarana, Ananya Sarana, Dhamma Deepa, Dhamma Sarana. Follow yourself and follow the Dhamma. Yourself means your mind. We call our mind the content of our mind. The content of mind is memories. We have the memories of our education, of our wealth, of our good or bad qualities, of our relatives, our country, our nation. What I call I myself is a collection of memories. We get attached to those memories, and those memories, those ideas, those concepts are called Dhamma. And you have also Dhamma, memories of what the Buddha has said, what you have heard about Buddha's teaching. Therefore, Dhamma Deepa means make your own mind, your own guide. Mind here means the content of the mind. Indirectly it says, inquire into yourself. It is in this inquiry you can find whether there is you. Who are you? It is a self-realization that is called enlightenment, realization that there is no self, that is called Sakkaya Ditthi Vicikicchata. You drop the Sakkaya Ditthi, the concept of self, by inquiring into yourself. There is another reason why should you inquire into yourself, because the entire teaching of the Buddha is in your own mind, within you. Buddha spoke of dukkha, suffering, it is in you. Buddha spoke of the cause of suffering, dukkha samudaya. The thirst for pleasure, it is in you, tanha is in you. When the tanha is removed, there is a dukkha nirodha, cessation of suffering. It happens nowhere else, it is within you. The way it happens is in you. Different people get enlightened by different ways. Some got enlightened by committing suicide. Some got enlightened by washing feet. Some got enlightened by trying to lay down to sleep. Some got enlightened by rubbing a piece of cloth and seeing the dirt in it ultimately. And one got enlightened by looking at a lotus, Swarnakara. Different people can get enlightened by different ways. And that way which with you are going to be enlightened is in you. Therefore you have to be your own guide. But you have to look into those guidance within you with an inquiry mind, because your mind can be contaminated by the defilements you have gathered throughout your samsara in your previous birth and this birth. That is what Buddha said at the beginning of his sasana. For 20 years, his disciples followed the Buddha's advice. Sabba pāpaka sakaranam, abstain from all evil. Kusalasya upasampada, let the virtues get gathered in you. Satitta pariyodapanam, purify your mind. Therefore, when you look at your mind, you should have an inquiring mind. Now, for example, you say, I am very generous. I love giving. and helping the poor. Then in that generosity, if you look into it, you really love not helping the poor and lessening their suffering. You enjoy doing it. Your attachment to be virtuous. The mind is very cunning. The mind can disguise itself in evil as virtues. You may love somebody and you think you really have goodwill towards him or her. But that is a selfish desire. The tanha, the desire, may come as love or kindness or generosity. That is why the vicikiccha means doubt is required until you see the reality in you, free from mental defilement that starts coming at the stream winning stage. Therefore, we had to look into the Buddha's words with an inquiring mind and find out whether the sublime bliss that the Buddha spoke of is in us and why it is hidden in us, and remove the mental defilement that cover the supreme bliss in us. Because according to Buddhism, our original mind is free from greed, hatred and ignorance. Alobha, adosa, amoha. The virtuous mind, a virtuous act, is the cause of being born as a human being according to Buddhism. You must have done an act, a good act, wholesome act, that is without greed, selfish motive, without hatred, without resentment, without attachment, and with full awareness, without ignorance of what we are doing. And that mind, free of attachment, resentment, ignorance, is going as our subconscious mind called stream of consciousness. Bhavanga Sota. It goes on. Our pure mind, the original mind of being born as a human being according to Buddha, is a pure mind. That is why Buddha said, Pabhassaramidam bhikkhave chitta. It is brilliant, it is illuminated, it is full of light. Agantukin upakkilito nupakkilito. Upakkilesa means mental defilements can defile that brilliant mind, luminous mind, shining mind. Within our dark mind, it may be a piece of charcoal, or it may be a piece of coal, but coal and charcoal can turn into the most brilliant gem called brilliant gems. Maybe sapphire, or maybe a ruby, or maybe a diamond. Diamond is the most brilliant gem, and diamonds are made of carbon. Carbon is dark matter. Dark matter can turn into be brilliant. Therefore, looking into your own mind means looking into the dark matter in your mind. The brilliant universe in which we live, the galaxies, the stars, the brilliant galaxies, they were hidden for billions and billions of years in a dark spot, in a black hole. According to the Big Bang theory, it is the explosion of this dark hole, black hole, that turned into this brilliant universe. Similarly, one day we can get enlightened like the universe. In the darkness within our mind, there is light. And that light comes out by itself when the mind is purified. When the mind is vitaragi, vitadosi, vitamohi. That is an enlightened mind. Free from attachment, free from resentment, free from unawareness. When you are mindful, if the mind is free from attachment and resentment, you are experiencing even for a second, like a flash of a lightning, the bliss of Nirvana, the light of Nirvana. And that comes in for the first time in the Sotapanna Phala. And I've been trying to explain the implied meaning of the 7th stanza in the Mangala Sutta, suggesting its secondary meaning may be describing the first stage on the path to Nirvana called Sotapanna, because the commentaries say, after listening to the Mangala Sutta discourse, 1 billion deities got enlightened. 1 billion means million, millions. In Sinhala it is called Kela Lak, Koti Laksa. If so many deities could get enlightened, the way of enlightenment, path to enlightenment, may be described in the Mahamangala Sutta. Up to now I have been describing the implied meaning of Mahamangala Sutta. The first 5 stanzas describe the first 5 trances: Patamadhyana, Dutiyadhyana, Tatyadhyana, Chatutadhyana, Panchamadhyana. Then after the dhyana, Sila, Samadhi, Panya, the Panya comes in, the wisdom, insight of wisdom comes in. Then there is the path leading to Nirvana, Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Anagami, the final stage, Arahant. And those 4 stages should be described in this Sutra discourse, at least impliedly, although they are not described directly. Then we have to inquire into 3 more stages after Sotapanna to read the perfect enlightenment called Arahanthood. And those who are interested in inquiring into the Buddha's teaching, into the secondary meaning of the Buddha's teaching, may find that this way of approach to Mangala Sutra can be beneficial and interesting